On this Thursday night, terror plot investigation. The group accused of planning what police call a bloodbath on Taylor Swift concerts.
The suspects, in fact, had very concrete and detailed plans to create a tragedy.
What was found in one suspect's home and the anxiety over Swift's future shows. Freshwater woes.
I know this is not the news that any of us wanted to hear.
Why Calgary is turning on another round of restrictions. 1 year after Lahaina went up in flames, the historic Hawaiian town's resilience and regrowth. And she's always given it her best shot.
It's like all of a sudden the thing that you love to do hurts you.
The ups and downs of Canadian Olympian Sarah Mitten's journey to Paris.
Global National with Donna Friesen. Reporting tonight, Carolyn Jarvis.
Good evening and thanks for joining us. We have new details about that foiled terror plot that forced 3 Taylor Swift concerts to be cancelled in Europe. Austrian authorities have arrested 2 teenage suspects they say were planning to kill as many people as possible outside the venue in Vienna using knives and explosives. Police say the main suspect, a 19-year-old, was radicalized online and swore an oath of allegiance to the so-called Islamic State. Almost 200,000 Swifties from around the world were expected to attend the show starting today. Heidi Petracek reports on the investigation and what it could mean for upcoming concerts, including those in Canada.
A show of strength and solidarity, Swiftie style. After Taylor's Vienna concert series thousands had traveled the world to see was cancelled because of a thwarted terror attack.
And even if they try to destroy our Taylor Swift spirit, they really can't.
Almost 200,000 Swifties were expected to attend 3 shows at this Vienna stadium. Their tickets are now refunded. Swift has yet to comment publicly, but Austrian police have been clear. They say a so-called Islamic State cell behind the deadly plot intended to cause maximum harm.
The
suspects, in fact, had very concrete and detailed plans, says Austria's chancellor, to create a tragedy here the size of Paris, Manchester, or Moscow, at concerts with a lot of people, and to create a bloodbath. Police have a 19-year-old and a 17-year-old in custody. They say the 19-year-old confessed to the plan, and bomb-making materials, chemicals, and machetes were found at his home. And they say the 17-year-old was hired by a company to work at the stadium for the event.
We've seen it in Germany. We saw it at the Paris Olympics.
And recent plots were intercepted even this past week in Toronto. Phil Gursky says Swift's concerts attract the kinds of crowds ISIS is known to target around the globe.
It's typical ISIS. They attack a successful female. ISIS are incredible misogynists.
Welcome to the Eras Tour.
So far, Swift's other dates on her wildly popular Eras Tour are set to go ahead.
How does her team keep people outside of the stadium, inside of the stadium safe? And it's going to be really hard.
In 2017, 22 people were killed when a suicide bomber attacked Manchester Arena before an Ariana Grande concert. ISIS claimed responsibility. 5 Swift shows are scheduled in London next week. The stop after that is her residency at Toronto's Rogers Centre in November, expected to draw hundreds of thousands.
Swiftie events are our safe spaces, and we want to feel safe at them.
Fan Jillian Wagner says she'll still go to Toronto, where plans to host one of the world's biggest stars and keep her loyal supporters safe are now under greater scrutiny. Heidi Petracek, Global News, Halifax.
We're learning more about the past of a Canadian convicted in the UK of a terrorism offence. Khalid Hussein was sentenced to 5 years last week for joining an extremist group in 2020. Unsealed court documents obtained by Global News reveal he was born in Alberta but lived and attended school in Lebanon before returning to Canada when he was 22. According to the British court, 3 years later he joined an extremist group headed by a preacher who supported the so-called Islamic State. For more details about Hussein and our exclusive reporting, visit globalnews.ca/globalnational. International media are reporting a Canadian has been detained in Switzerland on suspicion of spying, and it's believed he was working for China. Mackenzie Gray is following this developing story. Mac, what do we know?
It's a wild story, Carolyn, coming out of multiple European media outlets. A Canadian man has been in a Swiss jail for months for allegedly spying on behalf of China. Now, little is known about the identity of the man. He is alleged to be a former United Nations employee who was a North Korea expert and worked extensively in China. Swiss intelligence agents allegedly caught the Canadian man meeting with the Chinese agents multiple times at upscale Geneva restaurants back in 2021. Now, at one of these meetings, the Canadian man allegedly shared information about North Korean diplomats he knew, and the Chinese agent handed the suspect an envelope containing what the Swiss believe to be cash. Now, despite these allegations and the arrest, the man has yet to be charged with any offense but remains in Swiss custody. Global News has reached out to Swiss authorities about the case, and we have not received a response, and we cannot independently verify the allegations. Now, the Canadian man has lived in Geneva, and there are a few details about what, if any, ties he has to his home country, something the defense minister is also unaware of.
And unfortunately, I have no information on that, and I can't give you an answer on that. But should we get more, we'll certainly come back to you.
Global Affairs Canada did confirm to Global News that they'd seen reports of the detention, but that's different than what they told international media, saying they were aware of an arrest to Switzerland to other outlets, but they wouldn't give any other information, Carolyn, citing privacy reasons.
Mackenzie Gray in Ottawa, thank you. As tensions flare in the Middle East, Canada's defense minister is also giving assurances Ottawa will be ready should a wider conflict break out.
We remain hopeful that conflict can be avoided between Israel and Lebanon. And at the same time, I think quite appropriately and prudently, we are acting to ensure that we have the capability to respond to whatever Canadian interests may exist in the event of conflict.
Bill Blair reiterated warnings for Canadians in Lebanon to get out as soon as they can. He says while the government will be ready to help, a conflict will make that challenging. Fears of a potential regional war have been growing after Hezbollah and Hamas leaders were assassinated. Former U.S. President Donald Trump says he has agreed to a televised debate with Vice President Kamala Harris on September 10th. Trump said so during a rare news conference at his Mar-a-Lago estate in Florida today, setting up the first showdown between the two candidates since Joe Biden dropped out of the presidential race. Since then, the pair has had starkly different approaches to their campaigns. Jackson Prosco breaks down their tactics so far.
It is a remarkable start to an unexpected campaign, as Kamala Harris draws massive crowds and owns the stage, even in the face of hecklers.
You know what? If you want Donald Trump to win, then say that, otherwise I'm speaking.
Ironically, the enthusiasm is reminiscent of Donald Trump's upset win in 2016.
Well, thank you very much.
Except now, he's barely campaigning.
I am campaigning a lot.
Trump spoke with reporters from Mar-a-Lago, insisting he's not rattled by shifting polls.
And they talk about, the enthusiasm. Let me tell you, we have the enthusiasm. The Republican Party and me as a candidate.
Questioned about the size of Harris's rallies, Trump falsely claimed the crowd he attracted on January 6, 2021 was somehow bigger than Martin Luther King's March on Washington.
Same real estate, same everything, same number of people. If not, we had more. And they said he had 1 million people.
For Trump, the self-inflicted wounds keep adding up, from a controversial VP pick to his attacks on the Republican governor of Georgia, a state he needs to win.
He's a disloyal guy, and he's a very average governor.
Harris isn't without criticism. She has avoided close scrutiny and hasn't taken questions from reporters since becoming the nominee.
I think the Democrats are going to try to put together some ideas and policies that they're going to roll out at their convention. And then we're going to start hearing more about that. So I think this is yet to come.
In a campaign of contrasts, both sides are fighting for a dwindling number of undecided voters, hoping for a breakthrough that can define this historically short race. Jackson Prosco, Global News, Washington.
Canada's Parliamentary Ethics Commissioner has launched a third preliminary probe into the business dealings of Employment Minister Randy Boissonnault. Commissioner Conrad von Finkenstein said he wrote a letter to Boissonnault saying he was concerned about new text messages reported by Global News in which Boissonnault's former business partner mentions communicating with someone named Randy about a business deal in 2022. Federal ethics laws prohibit cabinet members from operating or managing businesses while in office. Boissonnault's office says the minister will provide all records the commissioner has requested. Both Boissonnault and his former business partner have said the Randy in the text is not the minister. In both prior preliminary probes, the ethics commissioner decided against launching a formal investigation. In Calgary, strict water conservation measures are returning later this month, while more problems in an old but critical water main are fixed. It's an unwelcome development for residents who only recently endured water restrictions for weeks because of issues with that same pipeline. Adam MacVicar joins us from Calgary. Adam.
Well, Carolyn, there's a mix of frustration and confusion on this quiet northwest Calgary street. One of the city's most critical water lines runs underneath this road, further down from where it originally broke back in June. This section is in serious need of repairs that will come with major disruptions to this area, with concerns over a lack of information so far.
Our main concern is clearly the track record with the city and communication. We found out about it on the news.
The 10.5-kilometer line runs from one of Calgary's 2 water treatment plants, carrying 60% of the city's water. 2 months after it burst, requiring emergency repairs, the city says an analysis of the entire line found 16 areas of concern. While the pipe isn't facing imminent rupture, officials say the repairs are necessary to avoid another one.
I know this is not the news that any of us wanted to hear.
To do these repairs, the pipe's pumps will be shut off, requiring another round of the city's highest stage of water restrictions. Outdoor watering will be banned, and Calgarians once again being encouraged to lower their indoor water use. This is because the city will need to rely entirely on the Glenmore Reservoir for water during the construction period.
We also need to make the repairs within a specific time frame to ensure we can maintain Calgary's water supply through the winter.
A fluid situation leaving many Calgarians with questions.
It just seems that something like this should have been maintenance.
Work is set to begin here on August 28th and run through the end of September, but it may be a while yet before people can get answers. An independent third-party review into the city's response and the overall water system isn't expected to yield results for well over a year. Carolyn.
Adam MacVicar in Calgary, thank you. To the Paris Olympics now, where one of Canada's greatest weightlifters is back on the podium. This lift was good enough for Quebec's Maude Charron to win silver in her category for women's weightlifting. The most impressive part? She did it despite having to move down a weight class after the event she won gold in at the last Olympics was discontinued. There were plenty of cheers for Canada's Skylar Park as well today. The 25-year-old from Winnipeg defeated Lebanon's athlete to take the bronze for women's taekwondo. It is her first Olympic medal. And in a Canadian Olympic first, our women's beach volleyball team will play for a gold medal tomorrow. Canada came back in today's thrilling semi-final to beat Switzerland. Canadian pole vaulter Alicia Newman is flying high after soaring into the history books, winning bronze yesterday.
Yeah, I mean, my motto is raise the bar wherever you go, so I had no choice but to keep raising the bar, and the Olympics was the perfect place to do it. I felt I had all the support I need to get here. I felt excited. I felt like I was having fun.
The 30-year-old from Ontario became the first ever Canadian woman to win an Olympic medal in pole vault. She also set a new Canadian record with her jump height of 4.85 meters. A strong earthquake rattles Japan. Coming up, what the country's meteorological agency is warning could happen next. A powerful earthquake struck off Japan's southern coast today, triggering a tsunami advisory. The 7.1 magnitude quake did not cause any major damage, but Japan's meteorological agency has taken the unprecedented step of issuing a warning of a potential megaquake. They stress this does not mean a large tremor is imminent, but the probability is higher than usual for the next week. There's a manhunt underway in Spain tonight for the former Separatist leader of Catalonia. Carles Puigdemont made a surprise appearance in front of a large crowd of supporters in central Barcelona this afternoon. There's a warrant out for his arrest for his role in a failed bid for Catalonian independence in 2017. Despite hundreds of police officers in the vicinity, Puigdemont is said to have fled the scene just as fast as he appeared. Catalan police arrested one of their own officers on charges of aiding his getaway. In Kenya, anti-government protesters took to the streets of the capital today as a new cabinet was being sworn in. Police fired tear gas to clear the demonstrators who are calling on President William Ruto to resign. In June, protesters stormed Parliament after legislators passed a controversial finance bill. Deadly violence since then led to the president scrapping the planned tax hikes and announcing he would overhaul his cabinet. Going for gold. Ahead, Sarah Mitten's long road to becoming a medal favorite in Paris. It may be no surprise, given she's ranked second in the world, that Sarah Mitten of Nova Scotia has advanced to tomorrow's finals in Olympic shot put. It is the do-over she has been waiting for after a disappointing performance at the Tokyo Olympics 3 years ago. Mike Armstrong spoke with her recently about what it means to shoot for the podium.
Come on, Sarah. Yep, let's go.
There are hundreds of different things going on when she throws. Sarah Mitten says every little detail, from her toes to her fingers, makes a difference.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah.
And she loves all of it.
It's such a fast, dynamic movement, and it's kind of think of it like a spring. Like I get all wound up, and then it just snaps and it happens.
Mitten figures her phone has thousands and thousands of videos of her throwing, and that her coaches probably has even more. Hey! All for the purpose of analyzing and improving minute details.
There you go! I like that everything that I do has a direct impact on how far I throw, good or bad, and all of the responsibility is just on me.
Now, Mitten was a high school athlete, but didn't try shot put until grade 8 and didn't take it all that seriously.
There you go.
That changed pretty quickly.
I went to a small competition, and this coach was like, "Who are you? Like, what's your name? Like, we need to get you into the club." And from that moment, I just started throwing like 3 times a week and took off from there.
Mitten has had hurdles. She finished 28th in the Tokyo Olympics, a fairly miserable experience, she says. Then came her first real injury, bone chips in the elbow of her throwing arm.
It's tough. Like, all of a sudden, the thing that you love to do hurts you, and the harder you push, the worse it gets, and then you have to really take like a big step back.
Well, Mitten is all the way back from that injury. She's climbed the rankings to number 2 in the world, and earlier this year won the gold medal at the World Indoor Championships. But everything she's done to this point was to get ready for these Olympics. Her goal is the gold, but the journey, she says, is something she tends to need her mother to explain.
It's really crazy. Like, all I do is throw a ball, and she laughs and she'll remind me why it's more than that. But I'm like, I can't believe this is all happening because I can throw a ball very far.
Mike Armstrong, Global News, Montreal.
Wishing her luck. Mitten is the first ever Canadian woman to advance to an Olympic shot put final, and she hopes to add to Canada's medal haul. With 6 gold, 5 silver and 10 bronze, Canada is 11th place in the Olympic standings based on gold medal wins. The U.S. sits at the very top, also holding the most medals overall, followed by China and Australia. Showing signs of life. Next, the Lahaina tree that's standing tall 1 year after Maui's catastrophic wildfire. Somber commemorations are being held to mark 1 year since one of the deadliest wildfires in U.S. history tore through Maui. The catastrophic fires claimed more than 100 lives and scorched the historic town of Lahaina. For more than 150 years, an iconic tree has stood watch near the coastline. Firefighters worked tirelessly to save the landmark banyan tree, though it was badly burned. Now, just as the island is recovering, the symbolic tree is also showing signs of renewed life. Neethu Garcha reports.
On the anniversary of the devastating fire that reshaped the Maui community of Lahaina, some there say the resilient spirit of this historic town is symbolized by its iconic banyan tree.
I go and check on it just basically every 2 days, and the tree's looking really well. Big, beautiful leaves on it. So we're looking at more than likely saving 45 to 50% of this tree.
Planted in 1873 as a gift from India, it's the oldest living tree on the island. It's a symbol of displacement and colonial rule for some, yet beloved by millions of tourists. Despite suffering heat damage, arborists say it's shown remarkable signs of regrowth.
It is the symbol for regrowth in our community. Many friends who lost their houses, and of course, many students that lost their homes in the fire last year.
This BC principal, who's lived on Maui for years, says his school turned into an evacuation center.
It was heartbreaking. Just everything flattened down to the ground.
Enrollment at his school nearly doubled as they took in students whose schools burned down. Now he says families are marking the anniversary together.
We decided to delay the start of school to allow families to be together.
Officials say crews have cleared about 95% of the 2,200 structures leveled in Lahaina, but fewer than 50 new building permits have been approved. In the heart of Lahaina, this resident makes a memorial.
Community is joining mourning, and it's can you see there's a heart there inside that is run through the whole teardrop, and those represent the missing tears.
Commemorations honor the 102 victims and thousands of survivors who are still struggling to get back on their feet. So many haunted by the trauma of their escapes and the guilt of making it out.
We don't have a hometown.
7 of my family lost everything, and I lost an uncle in it. It's really depressing because we have to pass the memorial every day.
From therapeutic support to new housing, Lahaina is slowly rebuilding.
The rallying of people that might not normally even know each other for a common cause truly has been one of the positive outcomes.
With this banyan tree standing as a living tribute to resilience and renewal. Neetu Garcha, Global News, Vancouver.
And that is Global National for this Thursday. I'm Carolyn Jarvis. Tonight's Your Canada is this grizzly bear near Kananaskis, Alberta. We love to see your Canada. Please email it to globalnational@globalnews.ca. Thanks for watching. Hope to see you here again tomorrow.